Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
What up? It's your boy T-Bear here with the reaction. So, I'm about to do a new kill count reaction, and this is keep going with the Chucky series. Like I said, I'm kicking off with the later Chucky season. Since I already saw the original 3 faithfully, but I will do a Chucky top ranking on Chucky best Chucky movie, I think it is, and the best one out of the original 3 we didn't want to do the kill count for. But other than that, let's get into the latest one I'm doing right now, which is for Seed of Chucky. This came out 2004. So still gonna be trying to look away. You know, I've been doing good, like I said. The reason I keep making these try to look away, because I don't want to feel like I cheat y'all. The one time I don't make a try to look away, then something I watch happen make me look away, and I feel like I cheated y'all out of losing and trying to look away. So regardless, here we are. This is Seed of Chucky. Hope it's a little bit better than Bride Chucky, because it was cool, but not as crazy as Cold Chucky, which I will do a reaction to. And for those who get it mixed up, I did not. It wasn't like I disliked Cold Chucky. It was actually a crazy movie. Just I know I'm going. There's a chance I'm gonna lose and trying to look away on this one. That's why I'm redoing it for the challenge, since I only watched it one time, and it's a good challenge for me to see if I can try not to look away. So anyway, but here we are with Seed of Chucky 2004. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the 5th Chucky movie, Seed of Chucky, released in 2004 and the last in the series to have a theatrical release. Seed of Chucky served as the directorial debut of Don Mancini, the man who created Chucky and wrote all the films in the series. Mancini wanted to take the franchise even further into comedy, so we wound up with this. If you thought Bride was weird, get ready for a movie featuring Redman, John Waters, and Jennifer Tilly playing herself. Throw in a healthy batch of meta commentary and themes of fighting addiction and gender dysphoria, and baby, you got a stew going. Whether or not you'd want to eat that stew is a different issue entirely. But hey, for all the crazy shit going on in this movie, at least there are still a whole bunch of kills. So let's get to them.
Oh, here we go.
The movie begins with sperm. Yep, that's right. The opening credits play over a bunch of little Chucky sperms swimming through a vaginal canal and making a little Chucky zygote. If only this were the limit of doll sperm in this movie, but alas, there will be more. After that Miracle of Life credit sequence, we have a first-person perspective of a doll given to a little British girl named Claudia as a gift. Too bad she thinks it's ugly AF and throws it back in the box. That night, the audience surrogate doll grabs a knife and heads upstairs, where it's picked up by British daddy Richard. The doll wastes no time stabbing Richard in the chest and riding him over the upstairs banister, giving us our first kill of the movie a mere 5 minutes in, when Richard hits the ground and dies. Our Avatar doll continues his homage to Halloween and heads back upstairs, into the bathroom where the nameless British mummy is taking a shower. The doll sneaks up on her, but drops the knife before he can stab her, still shocking her enough to fall out of the tub onto the bathroom floor, where she cracks her head open and dies. Fun fact, this is the first time since a Friday film that I've had to censor a nipple. It's also the only occurrence of human nudity in the Chucky series so far. The doll catches a glimpse of itself in the mirror before moving on to find the little girl Claudia, but when he finally does find her, he only manages to piss himself while she yells at him.
You're pissing your pants! You're pissing your pants!
He wakes up to find out it was all a dream, and he's living a very Pinocchio-like existence, captive in a cage and forced to perform a stage show with this ventriloquist named Sykes. Also, his name is Shitface, which is pretty funny. But hold up, this is a ventriloquist competition and it's more bumping than Bonnaroo? I don't know what world this movie takes place in, but I bet Jeff Dunham's the equivalent to Jimi Hendrix in it. If only he'd light those racist puppets on fire. Shitface gives us a voiceover narration pondering his existence. He knows he's Japanese, he has violent dreams even though he'd never heard it fly, and he really wants to know where his parents are. Cut to another scene where a guy dressed as Santa is having some problems with his sack. He finds Chucky sitting by a tombstone, and as he's getting a closer look, Tiffany comes behind him and starts strangling him with a slinky. Everyone loves a strangle. Chucky slashes his fake stomach and rips off his fake beard, complaining about the effects a fake Santa could have on one's psyche.
Fuck with your mind! Fuck with your mind! Fuck with your mind!
Chucky's broke again!
Turns out Chucky's malfunctioning because this is a movie set, and that Santa's not really dead. Yep, taking a page right from the Scream sequel, Seed of Chucky features a film within a film about the events in the earlier movie of the franchise, but in a move that outmetas even the crappiest of the Scream movies, by which I mean Scream 3, obviously. Jennifer Tilly is actually an actress in this movie. It's Jennifer Tilly playing Tiffany in a fake movie, and also voicing actual Tiffany in this actual movie. You should really just buckle up for a mindfuck for this one, folks. Jennifer complains about not getting any good roles anymore, so her assistant Joan mentions that Redman, yes, the rapper Redman, is casting a movie and looking for someone to play the Virgin Mary. Jennifer jumps at the opportunity as a way to reinvent her image. A television broadcast about the Chucky movie is seen by Shitface, and when Chucky waves goodbye to the audience with a "fuck you very much," Shitface notices he has the same Made in Japan stamp on his wrist. Convinced that he's found his parents, he doesn't hesitate to escape from his cage, somehow outrunning Sykes in this weird shot and then riding a garbage truck to freedom. A freaking Indiana Jones sequence shows his passage across the Atlantic where he lands in Hollywood, ready to reunite with mommy and daddy. Before he does though, we have to watch Jennifer's audition with Redman, which kind of makes me want an audiobook of the Bible as read by the two of them. He starts staring at her Tillies, so she takes advantage of it and invites him over to her place in an effort to secure the role over his first choice, Julia Roberts, who also did a weird kind of playing as herself type thing in the second Ocean's movie. Shitface makes his way into the makeup and effects workshop and finds the lifeless animatronics of Chucky and Tiffany. He whips out the heart of Damballa, because I guess he has that now, and ends up tapping into some subconscious recognition that the incantation on the back of it is pretty important.
Ade due Damballa.
Not the best recitation of the incantation, but it still manages to get the job done, reanimating Chucky and Tiffany for another hijinks-filled adventure. Chucky laughs at Shitface's name and makes fun of how ugly and freakish looking he is, a running joke in this movie, even though he's just one diluted pupil away from being David Bowie, the sexiest man who has ever or will ever walk this earth. To get the story moving, Chucky and Tiffany are immediately convinced by the Made in Japan stamp that he is in fact their kid. Tiffany accepts him with open arms. Chucky faints like a sitcom character. They freeze up when the set puppeteer walks in to fix the animatronics due to their earlier malfunction. When he takes the battery cover off of Tiffany, he finds bloody beating organs inside and a wire around his neck, courtesy of Chucky. Chucky and Tiffany decapitate the guy together in the first quote-unquote real kill of the movie. Really fun fact, this guy's name is Tony Gardner and he's playing himself. Dude is an actual makeup and special effects designer who worked on this film and many others, including Zombieland. He also designed the friggin' Geico caveman. Remember when they had their own show for like 2 seconds? While Chucky and Tiffany are turned on by all that neck blood all over their faces, Shitface is so upset by it that he ends up pissing his pants again, causing this misunderstanding to come out into the open.
She just had an accident.
You mean he had an accident?
Yep, apparently they're not sure of Shitface's gender, and doubly not sure when they pull off his pants and find a nice, smooth Ken doll pelvis going on down there. Tiffany insists their child is female, while Chucky is equally adamant about Shitface being male, so they name him both Glenn and Glenda in an homage to the 1953 Ed Wood film. Quick note, I'm just gonna be using he pronouns because Glenn ends up choosing to be male in the end, spoiler alert, and it's a lot easier than saying he/she.
Right.
Tiffany sneaks into the shop to grab a candy bar she stowed away in Chucky's overalls earlier, then starts playing with Tony's head, thinking it's just a good-looking prop. She eventually realizes her mistake, and after the cops rush over to the lot, a media frenzy occurs, with reporters, including Pete Peters, played by John Waters, ambushing her and asking her if she was involved in the murder at all. Tiffany's just trying to get to her limo, and her driver Stan, who's been practicing saying he loves her for a subplot that pretty much goes nowhere. The dolls all hitch a ride in the back of the limo, somehow sitting there unnoticed in the back while Jennifer rides up front with Stan. They hatch a plan to transfer Tiffany's soul into Jennifer Tilly's body, and Chucky's into Redman. They tell Glenn
that's how
Jennifer's attic, and as Chucky and Tiff put Glenn to sleep in a crib, he inquires
that's how it happened with Colt. Okay.
Hey, isn't violence bad?
Colt.
Chucky responds with this.
Violins. Violins are bad. That screechy music's gonna ruin the goddamn country.
Damn, Chucky, you've been a father for only an hour and you're already spitting out those dad jokes? Well done. Tiffany takes Glenn's plea to heart, telling Chucky they have an addiction to killing and that they need to stop now that they have to set an example for their kid. Chucky reluctantly agrees, but his crossed fingers ensure that we'll have plenty more bodies for the kill count. Jennifer is setting up her evening with Redman, even though Joan is super against it, pointing out the irony of the whole situation.
You're prostituting yourself so you can play the Virgin Mary.
Jennifer gets so offended that she fires Joan and sends her on her judgmental ass way. Upstairs,
Yo, Jennifer Tilly, for the age she is right now, she's like in her 60s. I know this is older, but she's still like that like now. Like if you saw Coach Chucky, she still looks good as hell, and she's like in her 60s. She's like she's still getting past for 40, past for 30.
Instructed to fill a cup with semen. Ready for this movie to get even weirder? Great, because first there's this.
Aren't you gonna give me a hand here?
Yep, I spent a half hour motion tracking doll nipples to censor them with little good guy faces, because that's what my life has become. But wait, there's more! Because Chucky cycles through magazines until he finds one he likes, the industry standard Fangoria, and then starts fapping away. This is great news for Pete Peters, who sneaks onto the grounds to snap pictures of Redman motorboating Tilly and gets a few bonus shots of what he thinks is a, well,
A masturbating midget?
guaranteed that's not the first time that phrase has come out of John Waters' mouth. He also watches as Redman makes an aggressive move on Jennifer, causing Tiffany to knock him out. Tiffany freaks out Jennifer, who runs straight into Chuck and his spunk. She's not looking to deal with no doll jizz though, so she tries to run away, only to have Tiff throw an award at her head and knock her unconscious. The dolls put Redman and Tilly on the bed, and Tiffany gets to work with a disgustingly drippy baster full of sperm. Chucky peers at Pete Peters departing the premises, so he wakes up Glenn to take him on a boys' night out. Together they drive a fucking car, which is ridiculous, and even more ridiculous is when they get passed by a douchey driver who turns out to be none other than Britney Spears. No, you idiots, not the real one, so don't freak out. But she's supposed to be, so Chucky's about to owe the 2004 music industry a huge amount of money since he runs her car off the road, causing it to crash in a ditch off screen and explode. I'll leave it to Chucky to make the shitty joke here.
Oops, I did it again.
Pete is developing his pictures in a dark room and working on a computer when Chucky appears behind him. For some reason, he doesn't really question the doll's sudden appearance until he discovers it's the same thing in the picture he took at Tilly's place. In less than 30 seconds, Chucky somehow disappears and makes his way to the ceiling for a Mission Impossible homage, but before he can stick the landing, Glenn cries out for him to stop. Pete is so startled, he backs straight into a rack of chemicals. A jar of sulfuric acid falls from it and crashes down on his head, melting his face off. At least it looks practical. Hypnophobic, keeping the brains out as Chucky poses for a victory picture.
I'm still looking. That's just nasty.
Tilly and Redman wake up, not remembering the night before, although Jennifer vaguely remembers a visit from her guardian angel.
She had the sweetest voice I've ever heard.
In the attic, Tiffany's really attempting to kick her killing habit, going so far as to call the widow of Officer Bailey from Bride of Chucky to apologize for that murder. Chucky references some vague day plans with Glenn, and then it's night again, and during dinner, Jennifer tells Redman that she's pregnant. He says, "Cool story, bro, but the baby can't be his because he's had a vasectomy." He does, however, tell her that she can't be the Virgin Mary anymore if she's pregnant, enraging Tiffany, who overhears through the vent. She calls an addiction hotline, and the operator essentially tells her it's okay to slip up sometimes, I guess. Doing a shit job there, guy, because Tiff takes it as an okay to go kill Redman while Jennifer's in the other room on the phone.
No!
Up underneath
She gonna
him,
kill Redman?
crotch, totally eviscerating him beneath the table, leaving his steaming organs on the floor as he takes Jennifer Tilly's advice to heart.
Drop dead.
She killed
Glenn walks
Redman!
in on the murder, which
Oh,
for him is
shit!
probably like walking in on his mom masturbating, and so he understandably twitches out some more. The next morning, Tiffany tells Chucky that voodoo pregnancies are accelerated, and she ain't lying, because Tiffany rocking a full-size loaf in that oven. She calls Joan, and there's a wacky three-way phone conversation where Joan keeps confusing Tiffany's voice for Jennifer Tilly's. Get it? Chucky attacks Tilly, and when Joan says she can hear Jennifer screaming, Tiffany covers it up.
Well, Bound is on cable. Gina Gershon is fingering me.
Damn, I love Tilly's willingness to do or say anything in this movie. Chucky ties her to the bed and gags her, dropping his victory photo in the process, which pisses off Tiffany because she still wants them to quit killing. Then they argue over Glenn's gender until he pops in with his own opinion.
Sometimes I feel like a boy. Sometimes I feel like a girl. Can't I be both?
Yeah, dude, fucking go for it. Glenn also specifies that no matter what, he doesn't want to be a murderer, shocking Chucky, who goes on a rant about how he loves being a killer that ends with him hitting the closet and reveals Redman's body to everyone in the room. As Glenn twitches out even more, Chucky raises the point that Redman was supposed to be his body, so Tiffany picks up the phone to call Stan and tell him she wants his body.
I'll be right there.
Haha, you big stupid. She meant literally. Before Chucky and Tiffany can get to work with their whole incantation situation, they're interrupted by Joan coming over to check on Jennifer, concerned about the phone call she had earlier. She walks in on this, probably thinking Jennifer Tilly into some kinky shit, and Chucky looks poised to kill her, but instead she gets flamed towards with a lighter and some hairspray. Tumble back and kind of deliberately climb over that banister. Look at that shit, that ain't natural. Then fall to her death 3 stories down. Kind of reminded me of Maggie's death, Chucky's first kill, back before he was a total joke of a character who jerked off into plastic cups. Chucky comforts the crying killer doll he thinks is Tiffany, even trying to make her feel better by showing that he's been a busy boy. What is that, 3 more kills? An off-screen 3-fer? Now you're just padding them stats, Seed of Chucky. Your kill count should have an asterisk. In any case, turns out the killer wasn't Tiffany, but actually Glenn. Or actually,
Glenda?
That's my name. Don't you wear it out.
Glenda gets maniacal, Tiffany slaps her out of it, and Glenn starts to cry actual tears, which just reminds me of back when Chucky and Tiffany first fucked and sent the series down the path that led to all of this. Jennifer gives birth to a little baby boy, who's pretty normal looking it seems, then starts pushing to the limit again, this time giving birth to a little girl. With all that taken care of, Chucky gets to work.
Ate to Dembella. Give me the power, I beg of you!
Tiffany interrupts him because Glenn/Glenda hasn't picked which body he or she wants to inhabit yet. Still not sure if this is a split personality type thing or 2 souls in one body, but there's no time to think it all out because the cops are arriving and everyone starts screaming their frickin' lungs out. Chucky gets overwhelmed and tells everyone to STFU. He says he's done trying to be a human because it kinda sucks anyway with the whole aging and dying thing, and that besides, he's pretty happy as a famous killer doll.
I am Chucky, the killer doll, and I dig it!
Tiffany ain't down with all that though, saying she still wants to be human, so she breaks up with Chucky right then and there, pissing him off enough to try to throw a knife at her that Stan takes in the chest like a champion. Not exactly sure why he threw down his life to protect a murderous doll that kinda looks like the lady he loves, but whatever dude, we had to wrap up your useless storyline somehow. Might as well be with another kill. Tiffany knocks Chucky out with a knife and some cops bust in, finding Jennifer Tilly among a very strange situation and probably thinking she into like the most kinky shit. In the hospital, she finds out she's been cleared as innocent of the murders, but might be considered unfit to parent. But we know she's not Crazy Town Banana Pants, since Tiffany and Glenn are real. In fact, they snuck into her room and drug her IV so they can knock her unconscious. Chucky comes and visits with an axe through the door and some meta commentary.
I can't think of a thing to say.
Acting fast,
Yeah,
Tiffany
Jenny.
goes to work with the chant and tries to switch her soul with Jennifer Tilly's. Right as she finishes, though, Chucky axes her in the head, saying that nobody gets to leave him. Tiffany collapses onto the hospital floor and dies.
Shit.
Her last words warning Glenn not to make the same mistake she and Chucky made. Glenn gets mad and attacks Chucky with kung fu noises and front flips.
Oh shit.
Why not? Jennifer Tilly slides him the axe and he goes straight up fucking psycho on Chucky, cutting off each and every one of his limbs and calling him daddy in the most unnerving way possible. For his part, Chucky shows he's not a hypocrite by telling Glenn he's proud of him for his violence. With one last swing of the axe, he decapitates Chucky, which is apparently enough to kill him nowadays because this franchise gave up on the whole kill the horror thing somewhere back in 1990. Jennifer Tilly comforts Glenn and a shot of the amulet fades to black, just in time for a denouement. We jump 5 years into the future into this Hollywood backyard that looks super weird and fake since this entire movie was actually filmed in Romania. A nanny named Fulvia complains to Jennifer Tilly that Glenda is a very bad girl, even if Glenn is an angel of a child. I don't blame the nanny for being weirded out though. Look at that evil clown looking little girl, freaking weirdo. Fulvia quits her job, which enrages Jennifer enough to knock her out with the Tiffany doll. Beating the nanny to death at her kid's birthday party? That's like a Robert Durst level of homicidal arrogance. Jennifer's eyes go green, so I guess like Tiffany's body switch thing did work after all. Then what was with the Tiffany doll's dying words to Glenn? Is that Jennifer Tilly saying that shit? None of it makes sense. But whatever. Glenn gives a voiceover revealing that he's in the body of this other weird looking ginger, which means like, who's in the Glenda body? Is it just a bad kid? An evil twin soul? I don't know, man. Glenn gets a big box for a birthday present, and inside is Chucky's severed arm, which triggers Glenn enough to pee his pants and twitch his little eye. Finally, the arm grabs at him, ending this ridiculous movie once and for all. Some people count Glenn as a death there, but I think that's stupid. Besides, there's still plenty of other kills in this movie without him. Let's see just how many and get to the numbers! 14 people die in Seed of Chucky, tying Bride for the most victims in a Chucky movie. Of the 14, 9 were male while 5 were female, a slightly more even gender distribution than Bride. At a runtime of 86 minutes, that's a kill on average every 6.14 minutes, just edging out Bride for the most frequent in the series. Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill will go to Chucky, the second time he's won the award. It's such a comprehensive dismemberment that's full of good-looking blood, and you gotta give props to Chucky for respecting Glenn as he does it. Plus it ends with a decapitation, can't go wrong there. Dull Machete for the lamest kill will go to Stan, with his single stab to the chest. I know there was that trio of off-screen deaths, but honestly, those guys seem more consequential to the movie than Stan and his pointless fucking character. And that's it. Seed of Chucky didn't do too hot in theaters, which is probably why the 2 subsequent sequels came out direct to DVD, which is a real shame because the next film in the series, Curse of Chucky, is a totally respectable horror film. We'll be looking at that next week, but until then, I'm James A.
Alright, so yeah, I see why, because I did hear a lot of people saying that this and Bride didn't do good well, and I had to see why. Yeah, this was worse than Bride, I'll tell you that right now. Bride wasn't as bad, but this was worse. But that explains how how Tiffany came back as human on the end of Cold Chucky. Cause I was wondering how that happened. But yeah, that explains a lot. And that might also explain something that has to do with Cold Chucky and possibly Curse as well too. Cause I ain't watched Curse, but wow. Other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh, I don't know why I just did that. Here you go. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.